Errol Lloyd came to the UK in 1963, and by that time, the restrictions on immigration meant that he had to come as a student. So he came as a law student. And he did eventually complete his legal training in the UK. But his first love was actually art. And he did art as a hobby while he was here, including and increasingly for the artists of the Caribbean artist movement. So advertising for their functions, he would do a little advertising poster, or for the West Indian Student Center, similar kind of thing. When they had a poetry reading, he would do illustrations for them. It was there that he met Jessica and Eric Huntley, and they were just beginning their bookshop, the Bogle Louverture Press, and the bookshop that was connected with it. And they asked him to create some greetings cards to basically advertise the Black Britishness of the bookshop. And so he did that. And then as the Huntleys moved into publishing children's books, they had him designing covers and eventually the illustrations for those books as well. But one of the things that he felt uncomfortable about was that most of the Bogle Louverture books were set in the Caribbean. And by the time he was illustrating them, he had been away from the Caribbean for a decade or more. And he also had children of his own and recognized that those children did not have the same experience that he had. They did not know the Caribbean, even though it was their heritage. It was not part of their day-to-day life. And he wanted to create books that spoke to their experience, the Black British experience. So in 1973, he got that opportunity when an editor from the Bodley Head happened to go into the Bogle Louverture bookshop and see some of the greetings cards that he had done. And so they asked him to do the illustrations for a book by another migrant, a woman from Suriname called Petronella Breinberg, and that book became My Brother Sean. My Brother Sean was a landmark book, partly because it was the first mainstream text to be both authored and illustrated by Black people. So it was important for that reason. But also, Errol Lloyd wanted to counter some of the stereotypes that were in the press, in the media, and in the culture about Black children, particularly Black boys, who were thought often to be lazy, uneducable, and even criminal. There were a lot of stories about young boys as young as 7 mugging old ladies, and he wanted to create something that was totally counter to that. And Sean, if you look at the front cover of My Brother Sean, you have absolutely the antithesis of a lazy, uneducable, and potentially criminal child. He looks shy, he's looking away from you, and he looks like a little boy you just want to pick up and hug. And that's really the storyline, is about a boy who's being welcomed into the community of school by his fellow classmates and by his teacher. So it was an important series of books. He followed this series of Sean books, with his series about, or it wasn't a series, there were 2 of them, about a little girl called Nini. And Nini at Carnival, the first one, came out in 1978. And again, this was designed to counter some of the cultural expectations of Black people in the country, because he wrote it following the 1976 Notting Hill Carnival, which was a heavily policed event and ended up in a near riot. And he wanted children, especially Black children, to have the joy and the magic of Carnival back. So he created Nini at Carnival, in which Nini becomes the carnival queen, and it's entirely a children's carnival. There are no police involved, and it is a delightful book. Lloyd would go on to not only be nominated for the Kate Greenaway Award for My Brother Sean in 1973. He was runner-up for that award, losing out only to Raymond Briggs. So he he has said in the past, at least I lost to somebody who was really good at their art. And he would also write a novel that was nominated for the Carnegie Medal in 1995, Many Rivers to Cross. So he's still the only Black British author illustrator to be nominated and nearly win the major children's book medals in Britain. Still today, there's been no winner of those awards. Now, Lloyd's books are all out of print, and the Shawn books and the Nini books and Many Rivers to Cross are such an important part of children's literature history that they deserve to be brought back, not just as Black British children's literature history, but as British children's literature history, so that we can all see the stories that have delighted readers throughout decades.